What's up guys, Jean here, and I can't believe it's already halfway through 2019. It's already July 2019, and I figured I'd go ahead and do a updated video on the best free Mac apps of 2019, so this is part 2, and it kind of ties in with the product hunt video that I did a couple of weeks ago, the video where I explained how Product Hunt was a really good website to find out about new products. And if you haven't already seen that video, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description section down below, as well as an iCard right here. And if you haven't already checked out part 1 of the best Mac apps of 2019, I'll also leave a link to that in the description section and also an iCard right there. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Starting off with app number 1, and that is Dozer. And this is the landing page once you go to the Dozer website. It's literally just this page. There's nothing else to scroll down on. All you can do is simply download the app, and it gives you a little short demo on how this app works, where basically if you toggle this button, everything behind that second little dot will disappear. So this is great if you don't want to be able to see all of your menu items at once. So if we go ahead and take a look at it, you can see that there are all these different menu options that I have on my MacBook. And this is just the little recording button just because I'm using the screen capture at the moment. And all of these items behind this dot will disappear if I touch either this one or this one. So if I go ahead and press that, everything behind that dot disappears. If I want to see it again, I can go ahead and click that. And to check out preferences, you just right click on this dot. And within the menu, you can see it's very simple. In the first option, there's only the ability to check updates, and I'm already up to date, or you can quit the application. Within the preferences option, you can either launch this app when you first log into your computer, which I don't understand why you wouldn't. So it's just something that I have turned on, and this is a key shortcut that you could use to toggle this instead of having to click up here every single time. If you just want a shortcut, then this is it. So I have mine as Command Enter. So if I go ahead and toggle Command Enter on my keyboard, it disappears, and if I toggle it again, it shows. So it's very simple, it's super efficient, and it's free, so you can't beat that. Now, one of the main reasons why I recommend Dozer is because in a previous video that I did, the best paid Mac apps of 2019, I featured Bartender 3, and Bartender 3 costs $15 in comparison to Dozer, which is absolutely free. The only difference is that this one pops up the option to be able to choose which apps specifically are shown and hidden within your menu bar, but Dozer does the exact same thing. It's maybe just not as easy, because in order to shuffle items on the left or right side of this first dot, all you have to do is hold Command and drag it, and that's all you have to do. So I can go ahead and hide those options on the other side, and if I want to move it back, and all I have to do is hold down Command. Moving on to application number 2, and that is NightOwl. NightOwl is free to download, and you can feel free to donate if you really love the app, which is awesome, because NightOwl is great for those who love dark mode. So it basically helps you manage the apps that are toggled to dark mode. And this is great because there are some apps that I prefer to have in dark mode, but there are some apps that are just like terrible to have in dark mode. Like I prefer Microsoft Word to be in light mode all the time, but other apps are okay to have in dark mode. So in order to look at it, we can just go ahead and click on the menu bar item, and I already have it set to dark mode, so that's why only this light option pops up. If I go ahead and toggle on light, it makes this owl beating noise, and then you can see the icon kind of shifts. So you can also have it set to different apps, so you can have them to always stay light. So you can manage all of your apps to always stay light, but that would be weird. So this is mainly useful if you are in dark mode. So you can see that the full eyes of the owl are now open, whereas if you're in light mode, they're like half closed, kind of like a dozed look. But if we go ahead and go back to dark, you can see that you can set it from sunrise to sunset, but it then asks you for location. But you can also have it scheduled, so you can have a certain time when you want it to turn on and turn off. I am using the 24-hour time, so that's why it says 16 is 4 o'clock. But if we go ahead and take a look at the preferences, you can see that this is the more in-depth menu where you can have it run starting on startup, play a sound, or if you don't like the little owl beating noise, then you can turn it off. You can have special hotkeys to enable and disable this dark mode, though what would be nice was if they just let you choose your own keys, but I understand why. But you can also have it to set to automatically check for updates and send usage statistics, which, for privacy reasons, you could turn that off or something. But it's a very simple app, that's all you have to do. And the light and dark modes are disabled if you have either of these two options turned on, because then you're just using these two modes. Otherwise, then the light or dark options would show up. Muzzle, and this is actually a very good app, mainly for your work computer or you tend to share your screen a lot, because this will disable all of the disturbing notifications that you get. Sometimes they could be embarrassing or they're just disturbing while you're presenting. So all it does is basically it automatically turns on do not disturb mode when you are sharing your screen. And you can see here that it gives you a little demos of what would typically show up on your screen if you didn't have this turned on or have Muzzle on your laptop. And you can see that some of these messages are pretty embarrassing, so you wouldn't want that. So that's why they're basically telling you you should download this app. So here are some of the apps that it works with, such as Slack, Join Me, Hangouts, Zoom, and BlueJeans. It actually also works on WebEx meetings, so I'm not sure why they don't list WebEx on here, but the difference is that it won't turn on that do not disturb mode if you are only sharing a certain application, because nothing other than that one application will show up in your shared view unless you are sharing your whole screen. So if you're sharing your whole screen within WebEx meetings, then it will turn on do not disturb mode. Now, I unfortunately can't really show you guys a demo of Muzzle just because it's a little bit hard to do, because I don't have any of the applications that they have featured on their website installed on my Mac. But just know that if you are using it in WebEx, it only works if you are sharing your apps in full screen mode rather than choosing a certain application, because if you're only sharing that one app anyways, like your browser, none of the notifications that pop up that aren't related to that Chrome or browser or whatever you are sharing, the application, then it won't show up. It'll just show up as a gray box. Pock. Pock is one of the apps that I found on Product Hunt based off of a video that I did a couple of weeks ago, where it's basically the best website to find out about new and interesting products. It's also where I found out about Dozer, so it's a great website to just learn about new products. Some of them are free, some of them are not. Dozer and Pock just happen to be a couple of them. And one of the cons, I guess, about Pock would be that this is an app that I would recommend only if you have the latest MacBook Pros or MacBook Air with the touch bar, because basically Pock brings your dock to your touch bar. So you can see here that this is a little sample of what you can have your little touch bar show you. I have my menu on the left, but if you tend to use full screen mode a lot and you don't really see your dock that often, then that is a great alternative, because then it's not taking up any real estate on your screen and it's on your touch bar, which is always on anyways. So here are some of the different options that you can do, where you can have a now playing widget, so you can have Spotify show you what you're currently listening to. This is the standard dock widget. It can also launch apps that aren't open, so it has a little white dot on it if that app is currently opened and running. But if it doesn't have the white dot, that means the app is currently closed, and if you tap on it, it'll go ahead and launch the app as if you had clicked on it from the menu bar. Escape is nice because if you want to hide Pock and then access the rest of your typical options from your menu bar, but you can also have those there as well. All right, and right here we're going to go ahead and go through the Pock preferences. So if I go to preferences, you can see that it says that you have the option to show Wi-Fi item, power, battery percentage, date item, but I already have those as the default Mac option. And you can have the option to hide Finder, show only running apps, hide persistent items, and hide your trash. So if I go ahead and show you guys what Pock looks like in the browser version, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my camera on so you guys can see that. And if I select the hide Finder, you can see that it disappears from that menu bar option, and Outlook is now the first one, but if I add Finder back, you can see that it's there again. So you can also have the option to only show running apps, and as I had mentioned before, only the ones with the little white dot under them are the ones that are open. So if I click on show only running apps, then you can see that those are the only running apps that I have. And then we're just going to go ahead and toggle that back. You have the option to also hide trash and hide the persistent items, but that's all just your option. So there is also the option to do item spacing, and it's defaulted at 8 points, so it's the spacing between the different apps there. So if you go ahead and switch that to like maybe 2 and hit enter, you can see that the apps are closer together, but if we go ahead and delete that and go back, you can see that there is a larger spacing. Sorry if this quality of this little keyboard view isn't too great. Little Pock settings. So you can have the option to drag your favorite items to the bottom of the screen into the touch bar. So you can add your control center, but that's already there, so I just don't do that. You can also add your status, but I don't really care. It's already in the menu bar of the screen, so I don't really use full screen mode that often, so I just keep it as is. And then you can also show typing suggestions, the escape key. So, all right, so right here I have the options pulled up, and if I want to select where items go, I just click and then drag it down. So I can move it back up, but I can also choose where it goes on the menu bar, but it's already there. On the escape is on like the far left option here in this upper left hand corner, so I'm gonna just leave that as is. You can move those options to the left or the right, and you can see that there's just the typical dock, and there is the playback option. So this is how you would show like what Spotify is currently playing or anything like that. But because I'm not playing anything, there is no playback option there. And that is basically it. So there's a lot of modes for you to customize anything that you want. MenuMeters is an app that will display a lot of useful information that you should know about your computer in your menu bar. So it's very similar to iStat Menu 6 that I featured in my best paid Mac apps video, but that one you have to pay for. You have to pay for the subscription, whereas MenuMeters is absolutely free. And I know this website looks like it was built in the 2000s, but it's fine because the app works. You don't have as much customization as you do with iStat Menu 6, but again, this app is free. And it works on Mojave. It says it works for all the operating systems newer than El Capitan, so 10.11 and higher. And all you have to do in order to get this app is click on this link. Then it asks you where you want to save the zip file, and you simply unzip it and install the app. Now, this app is a little bit different because it installs it within your system preferences rather than having a preferences menu that's somewhere on the menu bar. So if you try and click on one of these icons, it'll just ask you to open up MenuMeters, and MenuMeters will show up in system preferences. And taking a look at MenuMeters. So you can see that here, this is the information from the MenuMeters. So in order to see it, you can just go ahead and go to Open Network Utility just because I clicked on the network option. But as I had mentioned, this saves the items in your system preferences. So if we go ahead and open System Preferences, you can see that it is an option down here as MenuMeters. So if we take a look at it, it has options for you to view your CPU, your disk, memory, and network. Taking a look at the CPU meters, this is this first option here, and you can see that there are a lot of different options because there are different cores on this MacBook that I have, and I have it update at every second, and you can change it to like half a second if you want, but I figured every second is good enough for me where I don't really realize that there's a difference. And you can also choose the different colors. So you can choose like blue if you wanted, but I just like the green and red option just because it works nicely and it's clear to me what it means. I don't have disk toggled on, but I can go ahead and show you guys what it looks like. I probably have to hide the CPU meter. So the CPU meter takes up a lot of space, but Yeah. So if we go ahead and go to disk, this is what the disk looks like. You can use colored arrows, you can just have arrows, you can have lights, aqua lights, disk arrows, and disk arrows large. So this is the read and write speeds for your disk. And I don't find that useful, so I don't have that on. Then there's also memory. And I also don't have this one toggled on, but I'll show you guys what it looks like. So you guys can see that this is the available space on my MacBook. And you can choose the different colors for each of them. So there's active, wired, inactive, compressed, page in, page out, which I don't really understand what that means, so I don't really use that. But you can also use a usage bar, usage history graph, used and free, which is probably the more useful one versus the usage chart, because then you'd have to be able to go into this chart and view them separately, whereas with this used/free, you can see how much memory you've used versus how much is free. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle that one back off. And going back to the network one, this one is probably the most useful one, and it's the main reason why I decided to download MenuMeters. And I have this one updating at every 1.5 seconds, and it shows the transmit and receive speeds. So basically how fast my network is, and because I'm not really using the internet right now, you can see it's basically at 0 or a couple of kilobytes per second. And you can choose the orientation if for some reason you want receive before transmits, and you can choose which mode you want. So I just have it set to automatic because I don't want to have to manually switch it anytime I'm wired in versus using Wi-Fi versus using a hotspot on my phone. And you can do different information, so you can get peak traffic, which is not really as useful as interface speed. And then there's also displayed scaling. And you can also choose to ignore speeds under 1 kilobyte, because it's like, why does it matter if it is under? So here's where you can also change the different colors on the transmit and receive. So I have green and red. You can also change it if red just means bad things to you. And then gray, of course, is just inactive, because I want to know if I actually have a network connection versus it's actually just lying to me. So that is MenuMeters, and it's located in the System Preferences menu, but it's a really great app just because it is free. Thank you guys so much for watching my Best Mac Apps of 2019 Part 2. If you guys liked any of the recommendations in this video, feel free to smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel for further content. If there was an app that I didn't feature in this video or the previous video of the Best Mac Apps, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section just so I know what apps to check out for a further video. And until then, I'll see you guys next time.